Roy is the fireman today, and for the benefit of the fairer sex and learners, he's building up the fire to boil as much water to make as much steam as possible for the driver to draw on to start the train and to pull it along. It's a very skilled job, often misunderstood. You don't just somehow hurl the coal on. Each shovelful is carefully placed in the firebox to maintain the critical shape and depth of the fire, and no two engines are exactly the same. It's hard and sweaty work and makes you jolly thirsty. So Darney's making sure that Jerry's got the beers in. Don't worry, actually he's talking to Central Traffic Control. Look, here's the Down Harbour Wanderer. A splendid sight and bang on time. Right, let's go. Up to the end of the passing loop. Darney again checks with CTC for permission to proceed out onto the main line. A strong hand on the surprisingly sensitive controls. Roy now operates the injectors, another part of his job. Now these are valves which use steam to blow water from the tender into the boiler. To replenish that water turned into steam and admitted by Darney's use of the regulator to the cylinders, where it was used to push the pistons, to work the connecting rods, to rotate the wheels, to move the engine. Clever stuff. And there's Ashley Peter, the Umgeni Steam Railway's senior guard. He's come to make certain that the train couplings and vacuum brake pipes are correctly connected. He hands Darney a note warning him of today's permanent way restrictions at Wentworth and any other variations to the road, as it's called. And on his way back to his brake end at the rear of the train, he'll visually check each coach and notify the marshals of any special instructions. A responsible job, but then he's not just a good-looking fella. Talking of safety, the Harbour Wanderer has a travelling sick bay, mainly for sunburn and smuts in the eye, or an overdose of bananas. Ready to go. Ashley waves his flag, but because of the curved platform, the right-of-way is conveyed by the coach marshals, like Andy here, having made sure all doors are closed, up to the footplate, where Roy, alerted by Darney, signals back to his guard. Boy Scouts may be, but it works. Clutch in. Brake off. And we are away. Everything but the smell, the thrill of a lifetime.
Tickets, please.
Although Walter Harrison is ticket inspector today, there are several uniformed coach marshals patrolling the train. They remind of information on all aspects of the USR and your guide to the many local landmarks. How fast are we going then? Signal check at Wentworth Bank. There's a permanent way gang ahead. Darnie coaxing those 16 coaches, 500 tons. Train's on the far side of the hill, of course, so you're pulling it over. He's not just looking for dollies. He's also responsible for signals and lookout on his side, informing the driver as they go. I think you're enjoying yourself, Mr. Ross, aren't you? Okay. Come on, ask if you're happy in your work.
You think we do it for fun?
I wouldn't be at all surprised. Dear old diners Maputo 209 and Moi 233 with a support kitchen car. The rare Cinemark coach number 500 and mainline balcony 1878, followed by a selection of Suburbans, all from the unique USR collection, repaired and prepared by the dynamic Clem Robbins and his team, and Peter Goodburn, who has overhauled the electrical systems. Waving one up to the envious O's in their dirty diesels as she steams through Jacobs Station. While we pound along down the back straight, a little background on this truly splendid iron horse. She's been cleaned up and restored by the Umgeni Steam Railway members up at Hilton, some 100 kilometres to the north in that wild and woolly interior. And she's on long loan to them from Spoornet Museum. XSAR number 696 is a 19AR class locomotive, built by the Swiss Locomotive Works in 1929, to a design by Colonel F.R. Collins for use on the light Natal branch lines until her withdrawal in the 1970s. She weighs 126 tons all up, and she develops a tractive effort of 29,050 BP at a boiler pressure of 200 psi on a grate of 36 square feet. A 482, she has 8 4-foot 3-inch diameter driving wheels and is 67-foot 6 long over couplers. And she carries 9 tons of coal and 4,250 gallons of water. The ideal running mate for her sister, 19D, number 2685, she was towed in light sheen from Hilton down to Mason's Mill on Wednesday, the 11th of April, where she slept over with Roy. Next day, she was up before dawn, all excited to be going to the seaside. Well, so would you be after 30 years. Roy handed her over to Jerry and Rob Mitchley, and, at first light, 2 of those snazzy red jobs came to collect her. And it was hey-ho for the raging main. And here she is, really enjoying her holiday, making thousands of new friends, and steaming under Darnie Kruger's practiced hand through Rossborough Station. Yet another task that befalls the fireman is the operation of the lubricator. Now this is one of great-grandpa's brainwaves. Steam is used to blow lubricating oil from a manifold into a system of individually valved thin copper tubes, from where, in fine suspension, it settles onto the moving parts of the valve gear and the pistons. Roy's having a bit of a hassle there. Lump of gunge on one of the valve seats, calling for the jolly old mechanical massage. The busy southern freeways on the other side of that wall, under the lovely old steel girder bridge carrying the bottom end of Francois Road and all those poor souls in their mundane motor cars. Slowing down now for Dalridge, the last landmark for us on this busy back straight.
Double yellow, cross over.
We veer to the right now, under the Maiden Road interchange of the Southern Freeway, and we head back towards the harbour. No longer with EMUs snapping at our wheels, these great concrete portals shade us into a more tranquil world. The transition from bustle to balm, from dashing to dignity, is quite startling. And having proved her prowess, Darnie reins in 696, from a galloping granny to the purposeful trot of an elegant lady. Well, she is 61 years old, don't forget. A dramatic change into a world of yacht builders and yachts, small boats and boatmen, blessed by the gentle breeze with a promise of tar and ropes and matters marine. Our two jockeys respond to the relative calm. Time for a pipe and a chance to set that road valve. Watched by the old palm trees standing in landscape lawns, whispering to the elegant buildings of yesteryear, if they can hear above the incessant traffic. Thank you, Mr. Crossing Keeper. Durban Corporation are very proud of their parks and gardens.
Your first time on a train? No, we've been on your shorter journey out in the Pantan area. Enjoyed that.
Where are you going to, all you big steamers? As we approach Customs House Corner, we go under Dock Road, and we leave the automatic central train control system and the electric light signals behind us. Now we pick up Fricky, our control shunter, who will guide us through the busy dockyard. He's in radio contact with the pointsmen and all the shunting locos, and his colleagues will call us through each section with a green flag hand signal. But they'll wave a red flag if we have to stop. After all, there could be a truckload of those nice Natal bananas in the way. A steady hand on the regulator and a watchful eye on the road. There you can see the oil level in the lubricator. Ah, shame, man, Roy, you still battling there? And so into Point Station. Fricky steps down, ready to slip the train after it stops. uncoupled. Now there's the harbour entrance channel. A real bit of Indian Ocean, that. Over there's the South Breakwater and the Bluff, a gladsome sight to many a storm-tossed metallo. He's seen a mermaid. And so we run onto the loop, past our train and onto the stage, where Darnie will book a go.
Right you are, sir.
Well done, Darnie and Roy, and thank you. Yes, another lovely Durban day, and we're with number 2685, about to depart Point Station for Wests. Hurry along there, please. One of the important exports from this remarkable country is granite. It comes from around Brits and Rustenburg in the Transvaal, and this load is destined for Europe, to be dressed into facings and pavings for fine buildings, and maybe even tombstones. Our fireman is Gordon Lumsden, USR's chief mechanical engineer, when he's not running his metal workshop in Pinetown or dreaming of the Heathens. Nico van Rooyen is a lucky chap in the high chair. A full-time unit driver with Spoornet, our railways, he served his time on steam. Fascinating places, dockyards. Railway trucks from all over South Africa being shuffled from trains. Trucks being emptied into big ships, then shuffled again, to be filled from big ships, and to be reshuffled yet again into trains, to go out all over South Africa. What marvelous organization to get everything in the right place at the right time. Because those big ships out there are far too expensive to be kept waiting. Oh yes, you can see that she's a thoroughbred. The Class 19D, or Dollies as they are affectionately known, are the South African classic maids of all work. Happy in the harbour, happy in the hills, or happy on the Highveld. These cheerful mixed-traffic engines were conceived, pre-war, under the inspired pen of Mr. W.A.J. Day, the then South African Railway's chief mechanical engineer. And this girl was built by Messrs. Borsig in Germany in 1938, only just in time. And she was awarded her distinctive North British-built MX Torpedo or Vanderbilt tender in 1947. Thereby enabling her to carry 12 tons of coal and 6,500 gallons of water. And the American-designed Buckeye bogies maintained her favorable axle loading, necessary for branch line work, whilst the increased capacities significantly extended her range in the often arid country districts. After a spell up in Zululand, based at Umgeni, she was posted to Voltrust on the Natal border, where she worked into the Transvaal, through Morganson to Bethel, and even up to Belfast, until the terrible prolonged drought of the early 80s caused her withdrawal in 1983 in favour of diesel traction. She was acquired by Chick Scrap Metals and led to the gallows. But before the dreaded torches were lit, Gordon learned of her imminent demise, and with Jerry van der Westhuizen and Roy Rotz, who was aware of her good condition, by the way, having worked up there, they set off on the 4th of January 89 to inspect her, with a view to purchase. Well, even grown men can dream. She was going to cost 38,250 rand, delivered to USR New Germany. And it was Clem Robbins who suggested to a very despondent committee later that month that resurrecting the Easter Fiesta, an ambitious project to steam around Durban Harbour and to be pioneered by Gordon Lumsden, was the best means of raising the price for a princess. And so, with the dear old Dubs A rattling her ancient rivets at the astonished cranes, and a magnificent effort by all the members involved, led by Jerry, the goal was achieved and surpassed. And before her silent tears could rust her steel skirts any further, she arrived in September to an enthusiastic, welcoming flurry of spanners, welding torches, grease guns, paintbrushes, and beer bottles. Well, it gets pretty hot in Pinetown Saturday evenings and a man gets thirsty. Still basically sound beneath 7 years of sepulchral grime and congealed gunge, she required new cab fittings and some new plates welded into her running boards and coal hopper. Every valve had to be reseated, points, plugs, and a tune-up, and she was ready for her final coat of shiny black livery, seen here being applied by Cecil Butter. In recognition of their outstanding sponsorship over some 8 years, she was dedicated to AECI paints, and, with due ceremony, was christened Pride of Dulux at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday the 30th of March, before the civic dignitaries of New Germany and Pinetown in the Umgeni Steam Railway's home station of New Germany. And so, reborn to the Umgeni Steam Railway, this mechanical maiden strides out into the light to join the favoured few who are destined to steam on and on into eternity. So much water under so many bridges, but oh sir, what a result! Sir Nigel Gresley, the world-acclaimed British locomotive engineer and contemporary and personal friend of our own David Henry, is reported to have said, "The design of this locomotive must surely be one of the best that the world has ever seen." A real gong for the mechanical staff of the South African Railways, creators of this lean but tough locomotive. What a pity, a yellow light. We're being cautioned to stop at Rossborough. Must have caught up with an EMU ahead. Ah, it's red. We'll have to stop. There's some traffic crossing out of Bay Head in front of us. Schoolboys are the same the world over. Totally absorbed in this unique experience. A blend of inquiring perplexity and envious admiration, facing up to Nico's reassuring eyes and manual mastery of a machine until seconds ago, a merely mentioned memory from their father's youth. This is a day home from school they will never forget. With the Rossborough starting signal at yellow, and after a refreshing April shower, we pull off on the wet rails, up the gradient to lift us onto the bridge and over the old Sarnia Road. Now just watch this. Pulling 16 bogies, 500 tons, up the slope of slippery steel, Nico, in complete concert with his engine, eases her up the line, skillfully regulating her acceleration, never letting her 8 driving wheels slip for more than a quarter of a turn, in a masterly display of locomotive control. And as man manipulates metal, fire and water, bending these elements to his aims, we steam through Clarewood Station. You know, drivers don't just sit there and play with their levers. Oh no. You've been privileged to watch some highly skilled men doing a very responsible job jolly well. But, like all craftsmen, they make it look so easy. The driver is in overall command of the entire train, and he is responsible for its safe operation and its service to the passengers. He's assisted by the fireman beside him and the guard at the rear. He has to know the specific route or road better than the back of his hand, every signal and every station, every bridge and every bank, every point and every curve, where animals may stray, and where naughty children like to play. He must be alert and ready to react instantly. He must match the performance capacity of his engine, governed by his fireman, with the weight of the train behind him. And he must make sure that it is always behind him. To ensure that he climbs and descends the gradients, the line is seldom flat for very long, using the minimum of fuel and observing the highest standards of safety. But the secret of successful steaming is teamwork. Having spent many years as a fireman prior to his promotion, he's lived the muscular fatigue of stoking on a bucking footplate, the bruised hands, the blinding sweat of summer, and the rain-chilled drafts of winter. He knows the demands made by the shovel on mind and muscle, and the personal secret pride of intimacy with his engine, of the subconscious respect for the good driver to whom he fired when he was younger, and who now, out of true professional pride, he tries to better. Actually, that sums up the Umgeni Steam Railway. The pride factor. Striving to do better. The Harbour Wanderer and over 12,000 happy passengers. Proof of their success. Well, we'll leave this lovely loco now to